In this tutorial, we're going to make an airplane. Now this airplane is going to be a little bit different than my first tutorial, and if you haven't seen my first tutorial, I'll have a link to that tutorial at the very end of this video, so stay tuned for that. That plane was more of a stunt plane. Okay, it'd do loops and dives and other things like that. This one I'm going to make is all about hang time, so this one's going to go up. And again, if you can get it, with a little gust of wind or inside, if you have an area, it's going to basically glide. Okay, it's a cool looking one. At the same time, it is, if you construct it well, it's going to work really well for you. So I'm just using normal 20-pound, and that's just your average normal paper that you'd get everywhere. Like I said in my first tutorial, take your time, make good creases. If you do that, and take your time, it's going to look cool, and it's also going to fly really well too. Okay, so what I'm going to do and what I want you to do, take the top right corner, okay, and what you're going to do is you're going to fold that down, and you're going to run it down towards your bottom left corner, and I'm going to match it up on the right hand side. Okay, so just matching it up as close to that corner as I can. I don't really want it to overlap, so if you're a little short on it, that's okay. Basically what we're doing is we're making guidelines. Okay, so I've got this crease that goes like that. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my top left corner and I'm going to move this and I'm going to fold it down. I'm going to fold it down where that other crease just ended. Okay, that way if you're off a little bit with that first crease, that first guideline, this one's going to match up to it. So it's, I've, through trial and error, I found out that this airplane works better when everything is symmetrical, when one side's symmetrical to the other, and I'm sure that is, that is the same, with any airplane that you make. Okay, so now we've got two guidelines, big X. I'm going to take my top right corner again. I'm going to rotate this. It's just easier for me to fold. And I'm going to fold that corner, top right corner down, and I'm just matching it up with those guidelines right there. Okay, so match it up, and again, I want to make sure and have a fold. So again, that's my top right corner there. Okay, you can see it has a nice crease line. I'm going to take my top left corner and I'm going to do the same thing. So I've rotated it and I'm going to use that guideline right there. If you've done it well, then that top left corner basically goes right over to the edge, and that's what we're looking for. Okay, so when you're done with that step, here's what you've got. Okay, you've got this kind of arrow shape right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top and I'm going to fold it down. Okay, so I'm going to fold it down probably a little 1/4 inch past this little intersection right here. So I'm going to look there, and what you're going to see is you're going to see that you have this little X, and I want to make sure that you can see that. So I know it's hard to see right there, but these two come together and there's a little X right there, and that's important to have because I'm going to fold this one more time, and I want to make sure that my folds line up with this X. Okay, so I'm going to take my top right corner again. I'm going to fold it down right along that X right there. Okay, and then this one here I'm going to fold down. So again, we've got that right there. So they're pretty symmetrical right there if you look. Okay, I'm going to take this flap right now, and I'm just going to make sure that I have a fold that probably goes right there. Okay, because I want to fold this up just to make sure, but I don't want to pull it up too much because that's going to crimp these wings right here. So if there's an 1/8 of an inch space right there, that's okay. And again, I make a nice fold. Okay, and I'm going to just run my finger down through here. Okay, so your top looks like that right now. The bottom looks like that. So if I undid this real quick, that's kind of what it looks like. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to fold it upwards. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of push down because this is a pretty thick area right here. So I'm pushing down with my index finger, and again, I'm trying to make this as symmetrical as I can before I make this fold right here. Okay. So if you see that, just it's pretty symmetrical. Sometimes you can get off a little bit, and it really makes a big difference on how well it flies. Okay, so there's kind of what it is right now. I've got it folded right down, and it looks pretty symmetrical. Doesn't matter which side you start with, but I'm going to come off the tip, you know, and I just kind of put my finger here, and I'm going to run these wings straight down. Okay. So I'm going to try to get this matched up. And again, when I make that fold, okay, you can see right there that there's a crease line right there. I'm going to run my finger again because, again, that's pretty, you've got probably 3 layers of paper right there. So I'm going to turn it over. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look right there, and I'm going to try to match this wing up with the wing that I just made. Again, trying to make things as symmetrical as I can. Good little fold right there. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the edge of one of these wings and I'm going to fold it up. And I'm going to take the other one, and I'm also going to fold this one up too. Again, trying to make things as symmetrical as I can. And what you've got here is you've got yourself a plane. Now, here's what I figured out through trial and error, is if you leave it just like this, it's going to nosedive, and it nosedives quite often. And through trial and error, I basically figured out that you've got to lift up the flaps on the back a little bit. So if you lift that up, it really makes a huge difference, and it makes the most, I think it makes one of the biggest differences on how well this flies. If you fold them way up like this, then this thing's going to do a loop. It's not going to go very far. So through trial and error, you know, it's just a little bit, you know, just a little bit of a lift up on this flap, and that makes a big difference. So again, when you are finished, it's going to look like that. And again, don't forget this last step here. Flip these up just a little bit, just a little slight bends. And if you find that it's just doing loops and not doing much else, then bend these down a little bit. Okay, so through trial and error, you're going to get it. So when you throw it, it should glide. You know, it should be a nice glider, especially if you've got a little bit of wind. It is going to catch that wind. And again, it's just a cool looking, it's a cool looking plane. And I hope you guys enjoy. So if you like this video and want to see more, make sure and like and subscribe to my channel, and I will continue to make more tutorials for you guys. Have a great day.